What up, what up, what up, Unbreakable Kicks Army? I did drop a video earlier today. I do look different from the video earlier today. So if you did not check out the video I dropped, make sure you check it out after this video. It's been a while since I've been double upload break Army, but I got some good information that I do want to give you guys today as far as trade block. And like I mentioned, Army, it's the year for trading, especially when it comes to these sneakers, man. Like, you really don't have to spend your extra cash or your cash if you got sneakers in the crib that you ain't even rocking, that's just been sitting in a corner. Or heck, like, oh, I just hit two pairs of the Kobe's, but I want the brick by bricks. Like, we gonna talk about trade block Army. Most of y'all are familiar with it, but if you're not, you gonna hear from the CEO. Gonna give you some updates on what's going on with trade block, some of the new features that's going on with trade block Army. So after we get done talking about these, I definitely want y'all to go ahead and listen to the entire video, Army. Great information, and I feel like it's gonna help you. It's gonna ease some of y'all stress if you do got stress as far as copping some of these sneakers in 2025, because Army is just now starting. I gotta update my trade block. I gotta add some more shoes on there, so we definitely gonna rock it. But check this out, because I just got a FaceTime from my boy Z. And Army, he let me know that the Air Jordan 4 white cements will be dropping early tomorrow. Now, the thing is, Army, I told y'all, this year is the 40th anniversary of Air Jordan. It's going to be a lot of pop ups. It's going to be a lot of shoes dropping early. It's going to just be a lot of stuff where you just got to make sure that you got the news, the information. So make sure you smash the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Also, Army, 100% we will be going live on Whatnot. I got a new date for you guys, and I will be giving away a pair of probably the shoes that we about to see. It's either going to be between the white cements or the Air Jordan 4 SBs, but I feel like y'all going to want the white cements. But y'all got to let me know in the comment section below. White Cement 4s or Air Jordan 4 Navies. But Army, make sure y'all are bookmarking that Whatnot live stream. Make sure y'all there, because it's going to be a huge day for Whatnot. Kick Fest, a lot of give. It's just gonna be, it's gonna be a vibe, Army. I did get all of that new merch that I told y'all, like $3,000 worth of old Jordan apparel. I just got that in today as well. So bookmark it. Let's make this a good first one back, Army. And let's go ahead and talk about these white cement 4s. Now, again, this year you just got to make sure you are prone to all of the news that's going on. Somewhere that official posted and they said, this isn't just early access, it's a DC moment cemented in history. To celebrate Jordan Brand Classic in DC, the Air Jordan 4 white cement drops early at Ben's Chili Bowl. Z Sneakerhead told me. He said, make sure you say it just like that. Ben's Chili Bowl. So, Army, have y'all ever eaten at Ben's Chili Bowl? Is that a spot that your boy Break need to check out when I go back to DC? It's been a minute since I've been there. But it says U Street on Thursday, 4/17 at 12 p.m. First come, first serve. Now, this is dope. They saying the first 50 Howard students with ID are guaranteed a purchase. They got men's sizes 7.5 through 15, retail 225, grade school sizes 3.5 through 7Y, 160. So yes, Air Jordan 4 white cements dropping early in DC. Now some of y'all may be like, oh, Break, like, dang, man, like, yeah, it's only DC. I'm sorry, Army, but I still want to get the information out for those in DC probably who didn't know. So now you know. For the Howard students that watch the channel, now you know the Air Jordan 4s. Bring the ID. You will be guaranteed to purchase the first 50 students, Army. So Air Jordan 4 white cements dropping early. And let's see what it does to them prices. Maybe them prices going to go down, but a lot of people is checking it out and hip to it. I think they're going to have a nice turnout. So that's it for the white cement 4s, Army. Let's go ahead now. We're going to have to go back into the past, all right? We'll have to go back into the past a couple days. Your boy Break might not look like this. You know what I'm saying? But check out the information. And again, shout out to my boy BMO for sitting down and talking to me about trade block, Army. Listen to the things he's saying, and let's get to trading, man. Hey, I need as many brick by bricks as possible, y'all. So I will be throwing more shoes on there. I got shoes that y'all may need, and let's check it out. I'll catch y'all later. Also, Army, real quick, I did add another early shoe that is available, that is shipping out right now, and that is the Air Jordan 1 UNC Reimagined 9 through 14 is shipping out. So if you need those joints, hit your boy up. I got the Laker 3s, 11 and a half worn one time. Got the Palomino 1s worn one time, Army. And all of these joints are clean. Georgetown 3s, 11 and a half worn one time. And last but not least, UNC 3s, 11 and a half worn one time. Super clean, Army. So let me know if you guys want any of those joints. And let's get to my boy BMO. Trade block. Let's get it. All right. Yo, Army, got a special guest for today's video, man. I got my boy BMO, and I'm gonna let you guys know this right now. This is gonna be important, and I love the fact that now we have enhanced how we can do things over here as far as like the content and Army. Yo, I've always been one to try to keep you guys up on game as far as the important things that's going on in the sneaker community. And if you are new to the sneaker community, you've been living under a rock for the last couple of years, and you guys have never heard of Trade Block, man, shame on you. A lot of members of the Army already knows about Trade Block and the importance that Trade Block has had in the sneaker community, being one of the first, if not the first, app that allows you guys to trade with your peers, trade with members of the Army. And I got my boy BMO here, and it's been a minute since, I'm gonna keep it a buck, Army. It's been a minute since I've been on Trade Block, on the strength of last year. It was just tough as far as everything sitting. Everything sitting, things not going, actually things going less than retail. So it was a great time to be alive. But now seeing how the market is changing now with Air Jordan 5 Reimagined metallics going 400 now. You got brick by bricks going 600. So and we got a lot of shoes that we don't wear, Army. So instead of spending that outside bread, now it's time to trade. You guys been on my behind. Break, let me trade you this for this. Break, let me trade you this for this. So now, Army, I'm bringing you guys, man, the CEO of Trade Block right now, my boy BMO, to update you guys on what's going on with Trade Block, some of the new highlights, some of the new additions to the app. And, hey, it's time to get back to trading, Army. BMO, take the floor, bro.
What's good, brother? Break. First of all, I just got to say thank you for inviting me on, giving me an opportunity to talk to the Army. It's been a minute. The Army has got a deep place in our hearts, man. I'll probably talk about this again later, but when we first started in 2020, I mean really 2019, when we were Astrolab and we were an Instagram page. We didn't have an app or nothing, right? We were just three dudes thugging it out, going to SneakerCon and selling people on this idea of like, we think we're going to build this platform to help people trade. You were one of the first people who was incredibly supportive and just showed a lot of love. And then once we actually got the app up, you were always one of the people who actually went the hardest using it, but really put the Army on game. And so just a lot of our success, especially early on, is owed to you and is owed to the Army. So it means a lot to me. And so that's why I was like, you know what, we got some big things coming. Feels like one of the best ways to kind of reintroduce Trade Block is kind of back where a lot of people heard about it the first time, right? With Unbreakable Kicks in the Army. So just to catch you guys up real quick and kind of give you a little bit of the backstory before we get into where we at now and what are we doing next. Like you just said, man, the sneaker game and the sneaker market was tough, past 2 years. Like to put it in numbers for you guys, that the resale market shrunk by like 75%, something like that, between 2022 and 2024. Like if you just look at the number of purchases that were happening on platforms like StockX or GOAT or whatever, right? Hell, that number actually might be even bigger depending on who you ask. But either way, we as Trade Block, like we were definitely not immune to that either, right? For better or for worse, like usage of Trade Block is definitely tied to the state of the sneaker market and the state of resale. So when we launched, it was in the middle of COVID, right? Which was kind of just a crazy time for sneakers, right? Like not only were prices going hammer, but people were stuck at home trying to figure out what to do, bro. And that's never coming back. That was a black swan event. We'll never see that again. But for us, it was
Facts.
on the one hand, it was incredible, right? Because like once we really got out there, like in our first real year, we were growing like 20% like every month for something like 18, 19 straight months. So, because of that, like we were like, oh snap, we were building, the team really rapidly. We moved into and then outgrew like 3 authentication centers in like 6 months. And so we moved into a big warehouse, right? And we're preparing for scale because we were growing so quickly. And, as fast as that comes, it goes away, right? And, that market drop happened super quickly as well. And so, from a business standpoint, we and, me personally as founder CEO, like I had to shift super aggressively from expand the team, expand the business to super aggressively, hey, how do we cut costs? How do we save as much money as possible, right? So we can weather the storm. We don't know how long sneakers will be in this, I call it the long winter, but all you can do in those situations is, hey, we got to make sure we make it to the other side alive. So like in practical terms, I was like, man, let me come on here and be real. Like what that means was one, I cut my salary to $0. Like Trade Block hasn't paid me in 2 years plus, right? Right after having my first kid, which my wife is still not thrilled about that, but she has held me down for a long time, and she continued to help hold me down through these tough times, and yeah, like had to let go like 80% of our team over 2 years. Longtime friends, people I built relationships with, people who were really like family to me, man. Like, and that just to put it mildly, like that was not a fun process by any means. Like those were some of the toughest times in my life. Like I'll keep it a buck with you. Some people can do that kind of stuff unemotionally. I can't. Like I just have always been somebody who cares a lot about human beings. That's just how I was raised. So I was in a dark place, man. I was in a really dark place. I'm doing a lot better now, but I'd be lying if I said there's not still some trauma from that I'm trying to work through. But all that said, I'm not saying that so y'all feel sorry for me. Like I know everybody's got their challenges in life. Frankly, my challenges, are nothing compared to what a lot of people go through on a daily basis. But I wanted to tell you guys that for two reasons. The first is being a founder or an entrepreneur, I think, is often like over glamorized, quite frankly, in media and pop culture. And I think it's really important for people like me to be honest about the fact that, man, a lot of starting a company and keeping it alive. And frankly, this as a creator too. It's the same thing. Like you have your own business. A lot of it is a pretty brutal thing, man. Like people from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, that's all you got, this and this and that. It's like, yeah, you don't see the hours and days and the pain and the struggle that goes into it. So I think it's important, for the 18, 19-year-old kid who watches Unbreakable Kicks and struggling to get their own business off the ground and beating themselves up, like thinking this, hey, this is my fault. Nah, man, that's the struggle, right? That's part of the process for everybody. So I want to normalize that. But two, like I said earlier, like the Army was huge in getting us off the ground in the first place. So I just felt like, man, if I'm gonna come on here, I owe it to y'all, to you in particular, and to the Army to just be, like, frankly, as real as possible, about where things stand today and how we got to this point before I start talking about, what comes next. So I wanted to give you kind of that backstory. But obviously, the point of this call is really to talk about where we're going from here.
Yeah, man. So again, I've been rocking with Trade Block for such a long time, bro. And over the last couple of years, I've seen new updates to the app, man. It just, in my eyes, transcends trading in sneakers, bro, to a whole nother level where you don't have to go to a sneaker event to be able to trade a pair of shoes. You can be able to do that in the comfort of your own home. So, what's some of the new updates that some of the members of the Army can expect when they log into Trade Block? Excuse me, when they log into Trade Block, or when they log back into Trade Block, or heck, when they click the link in the description section below and go ahead and download the Trade Block app. What are some of the new features that some of the members of the Army can expect to see?
Yeah, I mean, depending on how long you've been off the block, one of the big things that we did last year was we added buy sell capabilities. We had a lot of people who you negotiate back and forth on a trade, and you're not always going to be able to find a trade that both parties want to do. But sometimes you're like, all right, man, what's your price? I'm down to just pull the trigger and make a purchase. And it used to be you'd have to go somewhere else to do that. Now you can do that, directly in Trade Block. We've got bids and asks. You can also, buy and sell used shoes. So really, we kind of got the whole trifecta: buy, sell, and trade, all in one place. The other thing we did on our buy sell front was made it a flat fee. So resellers out there, that, hey, almost everywhere you go, those platforms are taking a percentage of your sales, right? On Trade Block, we said, nah, like historically, we charge a flat fee for trading. Let's charge a flat fee for selling. So, we also just really wanted to give, sellers an opportunity to take home more of what at the end of the day we feel like that's your money, you're selling. We can facilitate this, but we want people to eat, man. Like we want to be a service. We don't want to be a vulture. But I think the other thing I'd say is, when we were chopping it up the other day, we were kind of talking about the state of the sneaker market, and I just feel like, especially these past couple months, you were rattling off all the stuff that's all of a sudden going, like, and we haven't seen that in a minute, right? So, I think we were kind of talking about the leadership at Nike, and I think Nike's decision to get rid of Donahoe and bring back Elliott Hill, like to me, it's just clear that that's starting to pay dividends. And I think one of the things that he did, Elliott, like right when he came in, is he just made it super clear, like, yo, here's the problem. Like we've been flooding the market with releases and inventory, and like that's going to change, right? And he's been consistent about basically saying, hey, we're making a shift here. And I think the other thing is compared to Donahoe, who is kind of like a hedge fund guy. Elliot Hill is a Nike lifer, right? So I just think he had a much deeper understanding of and like appreciation for the power of like brand and storytelling. And side note, I'd be remiss if I didn't give my guy J May a shout out here, Jason Maiden. For those of y'all who don't know, a lot of people might not know this, but J May actually took over as the chief design officer of Jordan at the beginning of last year. He came back. He was there as a designer for many years. He left for about a decade, and he came back and is the top guy when it comes to design at Jordan. So there's no question that he's played a huge role in a lot of the improvements that we're seeing from Jordan on brand and storytelling. So anyways, like we're definitely not out of the woods yet, but for better or for worse, I think the sneaker market is starting to show signs that it's really back on the up and up. So that's part of why I said, hey, for the past year or so, obviously, like we were just trying to make it through the winter. Like I call it hibernation, right? We had to shut a lot of things down just to save bread and make sure we can make it out to the other side. But really, over the past couple months, man, I've been starting to feel a little bit more confident, and that's why we're getting ready to start rolling some truly net new things. And one of the things that I mentioned to you was the trusted trader program. So I talked about that a little bit, but let me pause and make sure you didn't have any follow ups to anything I just said right there.
Man, I just think it's the perfect time for you know something new in the sneaker community, man, especially with just everything as far as like the cost of living going up, bro, as far as groceries, as far as, the rumors and news that the price of sneakers may go up because of the tariffs and things of that nature, man. And also, bro, and I'm just ready for you to go ahead and let the army know, bro. Like, what's this big thing? Well, I mean, you've already mentioned it, but let the
I
army know the
have.
new rollout,
Yeah,
that's coming
man.
soon.
Yeah. So I'd say like this is probably the thing I'm most excited about. Most anxious about. I think if you're not a little bit scared, you're probably not shooting big enough as a founder and as an innovator. So, in a nutshell, the Trusted Trader program, which will be rolling out this week, is a new initiative where basically, traders who have a proven track record of being, super trustworthy, super reliable, super dependable, are going to be allowed to direct ship to their trade partners. So as long as they stick to obviously super strict guidelines and maintain that clean track record, they'll be able to keep that status.
Now,
Just a young. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, how do you think people are gonna feel about that with, StockX just recently doing like their trusted seller? So in a
Hmm.
sense, StockX is allowing their trusted sellers to just go ahead and ship to, whoever buys their shoes. So in a sense, what's going to be like the protection for like members
Hmm.
of the army, because in a sense, those who are worried about receiving the fake shoe from StockX could potentially feel the same way as far as receiving a fake shoe in trade, even with it being the trusted trader. So anything that you guys can, and even for myself, bro, it's certain shoes I feel comfortable with buying, certain off third party apps, some I just don't. So what's that level of security that you can give people who trade on the app, so that way they can know, like, okay, well, if I trade something on trade block, like I know I'm gonna be good. Like I just feel like when it comes to apps, and this is why I still say like eBay in my eyes is over Go and StockX because of the communication. Like from my previous being, from my previous trade on Trade Block, even with some of the members of the Army, we communicate. On Trade Block, for those who don't know, you can talk to the person that you're trading with, which is phenomenal. Bro, it's the box damage. I know some of y'all be crazy on, like, the box and the accessories that come in there, like with Trade Block Army. And this is just from my personal aspect, like if it was anything, like, y'all know I'm a stickler on creases and paint chipping. If you're doing like a used shoe, you're able to communicate with the trader on Trade Block. So even if you feel like, oh man, something may be off, you can hit that person up and y'all can have a conversation. On other apps you can't do that, and that's why I just feel like, and again, there's no toot to Trade Block. They're my boys, and they've been doing that since day one, as far as the communication, from trader to trader. But that was just one of my biggest things as far as security. What are other things
Absolutely.
that you guys can, secure the Army with as far as trading? Because right now, bro, like if you got 3 or 4 pairs of the Air Jordan 5 reimagined metallics and you missed out on a brick by bricks, you trading 2 pairs for
Hey,
one, and when you
yeah.
add up retail, that's $400. The bricks going $700 depending on your size, Army. So I'm gonna be big on trading. It's a reason why I got my boy Beamo on here right now, Army, because I'm basically letting y'all know, like, I'm not about to be spending them crazy amounts on these shoes I take L's on. Y'all know I got inventory for days. We gonna be trading. So Bimo, go ahead and let us know, some
Facts.
other things that's just gonna, keep us secure and, sleep tight at night knowing we did this trade on Trade Block.
Nah, 1,000%. And I think obviously that's the most important question, right? That's the question that we would all have. That's the question that I would have, right? And so I'm definitely going to get to that. But before I get to that, I actually think it's really really important for me to talk a little bit about, like, well, why are we even doing this in the first place? Like, that's just the way I operate in
Mm-hmm.
life. Is like, hey, start with why. Real quick, random book recommendation for those of y'all who are nerds like me and like to read. It's literally a book called Start with Why by Simon Sinek. But yeah, because I think, what are we trying to accomplish is actually probably the most important thing. But I will definitely answer, your question about, hey, if I have concerns, and if something bad happens, basically how's Trade Block going to handle that? But, first, just to give you guys some context on the business, because I also think, I want people to understand, hey, here are the things that we behind the scenes have to deal with to try and figure out how do we make this thing viable? How do we make sure we can keep this thing alive, and around for, years and decades to come? So the first thing to understand is, like, when we facilitate a trade, our biggest cost is shipping. Like, that's the biggest cost of facilitating a trade. So, direct shipping means lower costs for us, and then we're going to pass almost all of those savings along to the trusted traders, right? So all of that is kind of a long-winded way of saying, like, if you're a trusted trader, your trades are about to be 40% cheaper. Like, as soon as we roll this out, you're going to be paying almost half, right, what you were paying before, which was, again, going back to why, that was our big thing, right? Like, you know, a few months back, actually, I'll just tell you the backstory real quick. I was out for a walk. I was stressing. When I'm super stressed, like, walks are how I decompress, or at least how I try to decompress. Doesn't always work. But, naturally, I found myself thinking for the billionth time, like, man, what could we do to help people trade more? And, I just end up asking myself the question, like, all right, at the most fundamental level, right? Like, what are the things that get in the way of people trading more? And super obvious answer that came to me was like, well, the cost, right? Like, if trades were free, just to give the most extreme example, obviously people would trade a lot more often, right? So obviously we can't go all the way to free, but I said, okay, well, if that's the case, like, what could we do to drastically reduce the cost of trading? Not $1, not $2, like significantly, significantly cut it. And like I said a second ago, shipping's our biggest cost, right? So there's really only one answer to that question. And that was, hey, remove one leg of shipping and let people direct ship, at least the people who have a really, really solid track record and have proven to be trustworthy. So, obviously there's a lot more to it than that, and I'm going to get to the details of the program in a second. But, again, I wanted to just really reiterate the why, because, like, man, we started Trade Block really for two reasons, right? One, we love sneakers. But two, and I think this is super important, like myself, Darren, Tony, we didn't grow up with much, man. Like, we still remember the times when, like, even buying Jordans for retail price was, like, out of the question because money was so tight. Like, that was not an option for me growing up. And I think one of the best things about trading, which you just kind of hit on, is like it's a way of helping people get their hands on their grails without having to spend a ton of money. Like that's to me one of the biggest things that's beautiful about trading. So, that's a big part of why we started this thing in the first place. And I really, really want to get back to that focus on affordability and accessibility to everybody, even the people who are, really struggling right now. And honestly, especially right now when a lot of people are out there struggling. So, I really wanted to reinforce that and help you guys understand why we're doing this before I talk about the program itself. But now, to answer your main question, right? You said, hey, what happens? Somebody sent me a fake. Somebody sent me some used shoes. They're supposed to be new. It was supposed to be an 8. They sent me an 8.5, right? Obviously, that stuff happens all the time, right? So, first thing I say is that the people who get trusted trader status will have already shown, again, that they're highly reliable, trustworthy based on all the trades they've already done in the past, right? So to be more specific, these are people who have almost never, in a lot of cases, literally not once had any issues related to shipping their shoes, had any issues related to getting, flagged for QC issues, let alone any issues related to authenticity, right? We've been running this business for like 5 years now, and there's been more than 250,000 shoes. Actually, I was looking at the number the other day. We've been over 250,000 shoes that have been traded between people on trade blocks. So,
That's what's up.
it's wild, bro. It's wild.
Yeah, that's a lot,
If
bro.
we talked 5 years ago, I wouldn't have given you that number. But my point is, like, we've been able to build up a pretty deep understanding of like how people move on the platform, and specifically what makes some people more trustworthy and reliable than others. You know, the other thing that I say is we've structured the program in a way where honestly, like if you're trading with a trusted trader, you really don't even have to worry about whether or not there might be an issue with the shoes they send because it's something else that we put in place, right? So every trade, when you're trading with a trusted trader, will come with by default $200 of protection for any sort of QC and authentication issues. And you have the option to add more protection, for 3 cents on the dollar. So let's say you trade a shoe with somebody who's a trusted trader. The shoe you're getting is $400. We cover $200 up front just off rip because we say that person's trusted, so we're going to hold you down to this amount. And you're like, hey, but I want to make sure if something goes wrong, worst case scenario, I'm getting all $400 back. We say, okay, cool. So the difference is $200. You pay 3 cents on the dollar. So basically you pay an extra $6 to be fully covered, right? So if anything happens, QC issue, super rare case where actually it ends up being a fake or whatever, you paid $6 extra and you're good, right? Like you're covered no matter what happens. So that's my point about like, you actually don't have to even think much about like, can I trust this other person? You just have to make sure that, hey, I got the protection. And so I know as long as I got the protection, I'm good if something
Good.
goes wrong. And like,
Yeah.
as I was thinking about this program, I think you and I chopped it up about this when we were on the phone the other day. But, one of the other questions I asked myself was like, what are we really paying companies like StockX or Go or even TradeBlock for, right? Like, what are we paying for? And I realized like it's not authentication, actually. It's not even trust. Like what we're paying for is peace of mind, right? We're paying for the peace of mind that, man, if something goes wrong, I can go to this company, I can hold them accountable, and I could be made whole, right? I won't
Yeah.
lose my shoes, I won't lose the value of my money. That's what we really pay for, right? And as I thought about that more, I was like, yo, there's other ways to give you that peace of mind without touching every single shoe, right? And so again, trusted traders, we're going to hold them to a super high standard. Even if you get that trade protection, something happens and you're made whole, we're still going to go back to that trusted trader and be like, hey, dog, you just lost your status. Like, you got a super high bar. The second you take advantage of that or get careless where you're causing problems for the other person, you're going to lose that privilege. So we're holding them to a super high standard. But again, you as the person trading with them really don't even have to think about it. It's just like, let me just make sure I got the protection. I'm fully covered. If anything happens, you know, I'm
Good.
good.
Yep.
So again, I think the last thing I'll say is it's totally possible. Like I'm completely wrong about this, right? Like being a founder is like you shoot your shot, you take risks, right? And I could be wrong. Like, maybe the answer is charging people $50 or 10% or whatever to physically authenticate and touch every single item, right? But I say like the only reason TradeBlock even exists in the first place is because we wanted to do things super differently than what everybody else was doing. And frankly, like I would much, much rather figure out how to make trading as affordable as possible for people, while making money in other ways versus trying to figure out, man, how do we squeeze even more profits out of the people,
Mm-hmm.
who actually make trade block what it is, right? That
Yeah.
just sounds way less fun to me. And like I said earlier, like I want to get back to our why, man. There's been a lot of times in my life sneakers have really been an outlet for me, like when times are hard, right? And I want trade block to be able to play that role for other people, even when like especially when times are hard, like right now. You hit on it, man, with this tariff stuff. Who knows what's going to happen? But you're already seeing eggs $10, $11, right? Gas is probably going to go up. Groceries is going up. Everything in between. So,
Yeah,
I
bro.
think
It
the,
could,
the,
it,
the
it could
voice in my head
potentially
is
get
simple,
scary.
right? Like I
Yeah.
want, I want, all those other prices around us are going to start going up. That's the reality. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, my goal with Trade Block, I want our prices to come down while everybody else's prices are going up. It's not going to be easy. I guarantee we're not going to get it right from day one. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be challenges we didn't expect, but if we could cut people's prices by almost half, right, and make trade block and trading kind of like a refuge or an outlet, for these people who are super passionate, but might be really dealing with a lot of financial hardships in their day to day life. That to me is what success looks like. So, all the stress, all the long nights, all the support tickets I'm sure we're going to have to deal with as we roll out this program and, iron out all the details. Yeah, if we can be that outlet for that kid who's like, I don't got a lot of money, but I love sneakers and I got a couple sneakers and I could, put together a little package and get those brick by bricks and it's not going
Man,
to hit
good
my
luck.
pocketbook too hard. That's
Yeah.
worth it for me. That's worth it every time. And I'll catch all the slugs and all the everything that comes with that, man.
Man, hey, bro, that's dope, man. That's dope. Well, again, Army, look, I'm gonna be on there, and y'all know what time it is when we live. Y'all take those L's. We no longer just running the StockX and go. Like I tell y'all, man, exhaust all options, and now we throwing trade block in the mix of these options. So y'all, and also I gotta update my trade block closet, Army. It's probably like another 1,000 shoes that I need to add up in there that y'all potentially looking for. Y'all may have something that I'm potentially looking for, Army. It's gonna be a good year, and I told y'all, like, we not trying to break the bank. And that's again another reason why I got my boy BMO here for that secondary option, Army. If we do wind up taking L's, like, we got options and it's time to use them. I don't want y'all to be like, oh, break, man, I wind up buying them early for $1,000 and then now they only 300. Like we got to be patient. We got to be patient, but throwing trade block in that mix is definitely going to be something great. So we already got the link in the description section below, Army, for you guys to go ahead and download trade block. And Army, if you already had an app, go ahead and change that password. You probably don't even remember it, but go ahead and change that password. Log back up in there, man, because again, hey, I need more bricks. We got white cements coming out. We got the grape fives coming out. We got off whites dropping at the end of the year, man. We got undefeated fours. And like I tell you, a lot of these joints gonna be regional specific. So some of these joints we might miss out. But you might be like, look, I got 4 pairs of flu games. Let me throw those on trade block. Let me see what I can get for them. That's what we here for, Arm. We trying to save some dollars, man. So again, BMO, go ahead and take us home with it. I appreciate your time, bro. And before you take us home, for those who have never been on the app, what can they expect? That's gonna be my last thing. What can they expect?
Yeah, so if you've never been on Trade Block, it's pretty simple, man. You jump on there. The first thing you do is build your closet, build your wish list, right? So here's the shoes I have, here's the shoes I want. As soon as you start adding shoes to your closet, you'll start seeing offers popping up on your home feed, right? So, oh, you got those shoes? Hey, guess what? There's 10 people who are making trade offers for that right now. Oh, you got those? There's 5 offers out there for those already. And then the other thing is we index all of the data, right? So when you add a shoe, not only can you see if people have already made offers for your shoe, you can see everybody who wants your shoe, right? So to your point, oh, I got 3 pairs of these Kobe's. Let me add them to my closet, tap on them joints, and then it'll say, hey, there's 100 people who got this shoe on their wish list. And you could go one by one and be like, oh, you want the Kobe's? Bet. Oh, you got the brick by bricks? We got to add a couple more pieces in there, but let's try to
Mm-hmm.
make something happen, right? Or you got the metallic fives, like let's try to make something happen. So we just wanted to make it really, really easy for people to find each other, right? Find good trade partners. Hey, you got what I want, I got what you want. Let's try to make something happen. And then the other thing that we're going to be focusing a lot on, and some of y'all who have been active on the blog past couple of weeks have probably seen, we're starting to dial up our trade generator, right? Our AI trade machine. And I don't know, Break, we'll have to have another follow-up session on that one. But the short version of it is, it takes time and it takes, mental effort to think about what am I going to offer for something, right? If you got 50 shoes and you're trying to make a trade, not only do you got to think about like what shoes do I want to offer, but then you kind of got to do the math. If I put these two shoes together, how much cash do I need to add, et cetera? Like it takes time, it takes effort. So what we said is like, look, let's make it super easy for you, right? Like you just tell us what you're trying to get, and we'll use your closet data and what we know about the shoes you want to trade and the shoes you don't want to trade, and we'll just generate a bunch of offers for you and say, hey, here's a bunch of offers. Would you want to post them? And you could say, oh, actually, you know what? It's including all, and it's including the metallic fives in the offers. Like I don't want to trade those. There's a filter. Oh, okay, cool. Go into your closet, deselect anything you don't want to trade. Boom, hit accept. Bang. Here's a new list of offers, only including the shoes you want, right? Or the shoes you're willing to trade. Man, I'm not willing to add more than like $20 cash. Oh, bet. Okay, cool. Adjust your max cash. So basically, we give you the ability to say, here's what I want. Here's the shoes I'm willing to offer, any combination of these. Here's the maximum cash I'm willing to add on top. And even like, here's kind of the balance that I want to go for the trade, right? Like, man, I'm trying to be really aggressive and negotiate, right? So I'm going to ask for 10% more. Or like, man, I just really want to get this trade done, so let me be extra generous, right? Like I'm going to give 10% to whoever's on the other side. So you could just fiddle with the dials, and we'll just keep saying, here's a bunch of offers that fit those criteria. And then I think the real magic is you can actually select up to 10 of those offers at a time and post them all at once, right? So it used to be, man, I got to go one offer at a time, build the whole offer myself. Now it's, hey, just say what you want, say what shoes you want to offer. Again, adjust the dials a little bit. And then in theory, if you've adjusted all the dials to your liking, every single offer that gets created is one that you're going to be willing to do. So now you can say, yep, post all 10 of those, post all 10 of those. And people who have traded know it's about shooting your shot, right? If there's something you really want, you want to put out 10, 20, 30 offers, right? You don't want to just put out 2 or 3. So that's the other thing that you'll see right there on your home feed. And actually on a daily basis, we're actually giving people, a handful of what we think are some of the best offers for them, where we're even, making recommendations based on the shoes we've seen you try to trade for, the shoes you recently added to your wish list. So really just trying to take all the work off of, the trader, where all you got to think about is, here's an offer. Would I do this? Yes or no? If yes, great. If post it. If no, cool. Move on to the next one. But keep it super simple, right? And just, focus on the thing you care most about, which is the trade itself. So yeah, got a lot more coming. Getting a lot done with a much, much smaller team. So, give us patience and give us grace. Like it's me and basically 2 other people. That's the full-time team now, which is wild. But, happy to be alive, grateful to be in the position that we're in. There's a lot of people who are struggling a lot worse. There's a lot of businesses that weren't able to make it through, the long winter, to keep using my Game of Thrones reference. So we're here, we're alive. There's a lot of stuff that's about to come rolling down the pipeline. And, first and foremost, trusted trader program and lower fees. So excited to see you guys on the block. Break. Excited to do more of this. Let's get it, bro.
Yes, sir. Again, Army, link will be in the description section below. Run over there, get on Trade Block, shoot your boy some offers, Army. Y'all know what time it is, bro. Like, if it ain't no good offer, like, y'all been hearing me say this for over 5 years. My boy BMO say shoot your shot, but, man, y'all better have precision when y'all shoot that shot over here, man. For real. It gotta be A1, Army. Don't start with the nonsense trade, because I'm gonna start calling y'all out now when we go live. So, but anyways, again, y'all, make sure y'all download Trade Block if you haven't. Jump back on the app, Army. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. BMO, thank you for your time, man. And other than that, you got your boy Unbreakable. You supposed to say your name, bro.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't ready. I was just sitting here with my phone's up. You got BMO, aka Beams, from the Trade Block squad, and I just appreciate everything you do for the community, man. You're a staple in the community, and we're all better for it. And then last thing I'll say to the audience is what I got behind me, which is hey, be kind to your mind. The world is tough enough as it is. Make sure you're showing yourself love every day.
Other than that, Army, you got your boy Unbreakable, you got your boy Beans, you got the Unbreakable vote. Unbreakable Army stands strong like always. Most importantly, hug your loved ones and, of course, remain humble. And we out. Peace.
I hit unbreakable for the users. plug, call him when I need him. These old's tough, but he get him easy. Yours old, him first season. Them most beefy, looking like two laughs. Two less, cause your ass taking nail.